They posted the delay at 8:03 p.m., a neat rectangle of bad news above gate 17, bright against a sky the color of rinse water. A breeze of sighs moved through the row of vinyl seats. A drizzle of complaints tapped the app. Thunderheads formed in the corners where phone calls went to defend the future. My body stayed still and my mind began sprinting, rehearsing newer, better itineraries that existed only as geometry on a map. A man in a blazer lifted both hands at the screen as if it were a worship song in the wrong key. A woman slipped off her heels and pressed her feet flat on the cool tile, as if she knew the earth would have to carry us now. I checked my watch the way a child checks the fridge, hoping something nourishing had appeared since the last time I looked. Time did not refill to suit me. I had organized this week like a proof that speed solves everything. Meetings clipped tight to each other, buffers shaved thin, pride dressed as efficiency. Now the gate corkscrewed that logic into something humble. Minutes belonged to more than me. I stood beneath the sign and felt the small grief of a plan dying. Then I felt the mercy of not having to pretend it hadn't. Inside my bag, a to-do list flexed like a parade schedule. Deliver, persuade, present, close, follow up, dominate the Q&A. Each verb had a trumpet. Each trumpet assumed the road would clear. The gate agent, wearing the official calm of those who swallow weather for a living, spoke of crew timing and inbound aircraft. Phrases that mean there are laws older than your calendar. A ripple of groans, a few sarcastic claps, and then the pixelated hush of screens reclaiming our attentions. I opened my calendar to bully it into kindness and caught my own reflection in the glass. Jaw set, eyes narrowed, the face of someone trying to litigate the sky. Pride is a skilled attorney, fluent in loopholes, quick with precedent. It began mounting a case. The client, the commitments, the cost. Yet, under the argument was a quieter truth. I had mistaken importance for immunity. I sat down, unshouldered my bag, and admitted, I live by verbs that don't know how to wait. 2 seats left. A woman in a purple scarf arranged a manila folder on her lap with the care of someone setting a table for one. She opened it, read a page, closed it, breathed. A movement like lifting a box that says fragile on all sides. Sometimes sorrow wears posture before it wears words. Her hands were steady. Her eyes traveled the page like a slow river. I considered the manners of compassion. Ask nothing? Ask everything? I tried the easy third option. Stare at my phone and pretend I was not in the presence of a story. The phone, unimpressed, showed me more headlines than I could hold. Out beyond the windows, a tug hauled a sleeping aircraft along the apron, a beast with its harnesses unbuckled. I thought, maybe this is what love looks like on a bad night, moving things that cannot move themselves. Meal vouchers printed like coupons for patience. We formed a small procession toward the only cafe brave enough to glow. The barista wore the tired courage of fluorescent light. Her smile had little rests inside it, like sheet music marked adagio. When my turn came, I stacked speed on speed, order fast, pay fast, pivot fast, straight into a stranger's tray. Coffee kissed the counter. A cinnamon lid performed a brief and tragic pirouette, and the barista shut her eyes as if warding off a flashback. I'm sorry, I said, the true kind, not the theatrical kind, and it still felt like bringing a napkin to a flood. It's okay, she answered, which was kind but not strictly accurate. Before I could add my clumsy second apology, the purple scarf cleared her throat. I'll cover his too, she said to the barcode, to the moment, to the world. I turned. You don't have to. She lifted one corner of her mouth. I know. The barista exhaled. A small bomb inside the shift diffused. We all stood there, strangely wealthier. We sat again with our cups like hand warmers. My mom used to say airports are where God practices patience on people who think they don't need it, the woman said, settling the folder. The sentence landed with a chair scrape in my chest. Familiar, domestic, unignorable. I asked, too quickly, "What's in the folder?" And immediately wished I had wrapped the question in gentler paper. She spared me shame. "Letters," she said. "My brother's. He was supposed to be on this flight. The delay. It made room to read them again." The furniture of the moment rearranged itself without moving an inch. Strangers, plain, night, same nouns, new grammar. "He passed in April," she added, the way some people add sugar. Enough to hold the bitterness, not enough to hide it. Her fingers tapped the folder once, twice, as if translating ache into Morse code. I folded my plan in half inside my own chest, and it made a quieter shape. We spoke in the register used in rooms with fragile shelves. Her brother wrote letters the way some send weather reports. Messy in the right places, exact where it matters, uninterested in theatrics. "He said the worst part of waiting is pretending you're not," she told me, and I felt the sentence glance off my calendar like a gentle hammer. Around us, performances continued. Conferences conducted to no one, sighs released for an audience of self, furious thumbs summoning control in 4-inch rectangles. I recognized each as one of my dialects. I watched my breath as if it were a coworker I rarely thanked. Steady, unbrilliant, faithful. A child hummed near the window, a melody shaped like cartoon rockets. 2 teenagers took turns photographing a haggard moon. The delay kept not being over. The night kept not being cruel. Something in me that usually rushes sat down. Another announcement, the tone trying not to sound guilty. Crew timing, new estimate at 10. A man with a non-negotiable meeting negotiated with gravity in a hushed but operatic voice. The gate agent stood inside her uniform like a raincoat, useful, damp, dignified. When she set the microphone down, the purple scarf rose and crossed the carpet. "Thank you," she said. No sarcasm, no edge. The agent blinked as if the word were a language she hadn't been spoken to in all evening. "You're welcome," she answered, and her shoulders lowered a half-inch. Blessing often arrives disguised as normal volume. I realized I had spent most of my day squeezing meaning into large fonts. Here, meaning came with a lowercase t and a period. I dialed the person waiting for me at the other city, the one whose patience I had been treating like an infinite data plan. "I'm going to be late," I said, and then, because shame can teach you to tell the truth, I added, "I should have built more room into the plan. I didn't. That's on me." The line held a small silence to test the structure of my apology. It didn't creak. "Thanks for telling me," they said at last. "We'll adjust. Travel safe." Mercy is the sound of a human being deciding not to charge you interest on honesty. I leaned back, feeling foolish and free in equal measure. My throat unclenched. The coffee tasted more like coffee and less like a stimulant for control. The humming child requisitioned a napkin and engineered a plane that looked mathematically destined for disaster. He launched it anyway. It dove like a penguin auditions for flight. Then it slid on its belly and survived. He laughed the holy laugh of people who have not learned to grade attempts. His mother murmured, "Try again." And he did, altering some minuscule angle with the seriousness of a surgeon. The second flight skimmed a long curve, the kind of success adults call nothing and children call magic. I watched hope behave like aerodynamics, invisible, law-shaped, generous. I remembered being small in a waiting room and counting ceiling tiles to keep from crying. We are never too old for such arithmetic. I counted breathing. 4 in, 2 hold, 6 out. The gate got a little bigger. So did I. "What's one thing about your brother I wouldn't guess?" I asked. She smiled with her eyes first. "He collected tiny spoons from airport cafes," she said. "Not to keep. He imagined each one had stirred someone else's life and wanted to borrow the stories. I pictured a drawer full of cups of other people, bittersweet, chipped, holy." Then she asked, "What's one thing about the person waiting for you?" I said, They're brave in ways that never trend and kind in ways that never tweet. They're patient past the point where it looks smart. She tilted her head. Then you'll land, she said. And I believed her, because the sentence chose posture over coordinates. I wrote in my notes, landings are about weight more than wheels. I underlined it twice, not for importance but for memory. The PA apologized again, and this time the syllables didn't bounce off my armor. I had come armed with excellence. I was leaving, whenever leaving happened, armed with gentleness I hadn't planned to pack. I wrote, the gate can be a chapel if I let it. Then I wrote a smaller line under it. I rarely let it. Confession tastes bitter going down and sweet when it enters the blood. A man in neon vest wheeled a stack of wheelchairs past us, two empty, one occupied by a woman who thanked the floor each time it cooperated. The tug returned with a different aircraft behind it. A parade float scraped of glitter. Somewhere far off, rain changed its mind about intensity. Somewhere inside me, pace changed its mind about worth. The heart-stop man paced a groove into the carpet, a metronome set to fret. I heard myself say, you can have my aisle if you need to get off faster, and only then realized I meant it. He blinked, the way people blink when a stranger drops a loaf of bread on the doorstep of their schedule. Why? He asked, not suspicious so much as unpracticed at receiving unsupervised kindness. Because it might help? I shrugged, feeling the shoulders of a younger self resisting and the spine of a newer one relax. We swapped positions in the app. He exhaled like a valve that had finally found a wrench. It turns out generosity is not the act of making yourself smaller. It is the art of making the room bigger. A janitor cruised by in a cart the color of well-used hope. He carried a bucket, a mop, and the sort of worldview that notices things standing upright. You'd be amazed how many people apologize to a mop, he said, laughing in a tone that did not accuse. I said I believed him. He tipped his head toward the glass. Storms breaking south, he said, like a weather oracle who learned prophecy from puddles. Then he was gone, trailing the scent of cleaner that reminds you someone has been here making the world less sticky. There are sermons preached with microphones. There are sermons preached with squeegees. One is not always more effective than the other. I walked back to the cafe, cash in hand, and tipped the barista a gratitude that wasn't measured in cents. Surprise lit her face. First the eyebrows, then the jaw, then the shoulders. Long night, I asked, trying not to turn her into my lesson. Third in a row, she said. Fourth is my day off. May it be soft, I answered, and the blessing sounded borrowed from a book older than airports. She tucked the bill into a jar and said, you too, which made no economic sense and every spiritual kind. I carried the cup like a tiny votive back to the gate, aware that the whole concourse had become a kind of liturgy. We waited, we breathed, we failed politely, we forgave in small denominations. Somewhere a child's plane learned a new trick. Somewhere a plan unclenched. When I returned, the purple scarf unlatched the folder. He wrote after every chemo, she said. Not about pain, about people. He measured days in kindnesses given and received. She handed me a page. The handwriting leaned forward like someone eager to meet you, unsure how much time you have. Today the nurse told a joke that landed like medicine. The man in the next chair slept for 20 minutes. It felt like watching a storm nap. I smiled without permission. She said, he believed rooms are never empty. They're only full of neighbors we haven't greeted yet. I looked at gate 17. The toddlers, the laptops, the wheelchairs, the janitor's cart parked like a faithful animal, and understood. Waiting rooms are neighborhoods with temporary street names. I gave the page back with both hands the way you return borrowed light. I am not particularly good at prayer when observed by clocks, but I tried something that felt almost like stretching before a run. I planted both feet flat, placed my palms open on my knees, and told God the truth in nouns. Frustration, small fear, the urge to perform competence, the envy of Group A, the annoyance that my value feels seasonal. Then I listed small mercies. Cinnamon lids that do not ruin evenings, a janitor who sees south, a barista's fourth day, a spoon that once stirred a stranger's life, a child's second try, a purple scarf sitting beside me like a flag of weathered joy. The air did not change temperature. The board did not hurry. But the furniture in my chest rearranged itself as if someone wiser had plans for the room. I opened a thread with a coworker I'd hurried last week, the one I'd treated like a cog in my stopwatch. My thumbs hovered over the screen the way a diver hesitates at the lip of a board. Then I typed the unfancy truth. I'm sorry I made my timeline into your emergency. I'll plan with margin next time. I deleted a sentence that tried to explain myself back into innocence. Explanations make good furniture for guilt to hide behind. Repentance prefers windows. I sat with the little blue bubble as it sailed away, feeling the tremor that follows an internal aftershock. A minute later, his dots appeared. Rise, fall, rise. Appreciate that. We'll figure the handoff better. Get some rest when you can. The kindness wasn't theatrical. It was domestic, warm, useful, meant to be used up. I let it land, then tucked my phone away like a tool I didn't need to wield anymore tonight. The intercom cleared its throat and offered a time, 10:05. With the hesitance of someone predicting weather at a picnic, a ripple of complicated hope crossed the rows. Some faces brightened, others braced. A few refused to move in case joy was a trap. The man with the hard stop sat down for the first time and pressed his palms to his knees like a student preparing for an exam in calm. Across the aisle, a couple synchronized their exhale. And in that small orchestra, I heard something I had ignored all week. Patience has a sound, and it isn't silence. It's chairs creaking without complaint. It's zippers that don't snap in frustration. It's the softer cadence of voices that no longer audition for control. I let my shoulders descend one floor. I used to think patience was a waiting room where nothing happened, punishment disguised as virtue. Tonight it felt more like choosing a slower kind of strength. Not resignation, reorientation. Not passivity, posture. It was the decision to let the future arrive on its own legs while I tend the present so it has somewhere hospitable to sit. I watched the purple scarf mark a page with the pad of her thumb and realized she wasn't killing time. She was keeping company with it. Patience, I saw, is not a denial of urgency. It's a refusal to be owned by it. It's the art of measuring with compassion instead of rulers. I reopened drafts that had been sharpened into knives and rounded the edges into spoons. I removed the neon urgency from subject lines that didn't deserve sirens. I wrote one message I had avoided all month. I pushed that deadline onto you because I promised something I hadn't planned for. I'm fixing the process, not just the date. Send. Another. Thank you for the extra hour at last review. Your question saved us from a shiny mistake. Send. Each note felt like tightening a loose hinge in a house visitors seldom see but everyone uses. Small repairs rarely trend. They often heal. I closed the laptop softer than usual, as if the device had nerves I could spare. Pre-boarding now, the agent called, and an entire concourse performed the ballet of retrieval. Cords coiled, books marked, wrappers folded into absolution. I offered to lift a bag for a woman whose travel had collected more years than mine. Thank you, she said, and her voice carried a meadow in it. We were supposed to meet our grandson tonight. Tomorrow will still be a gift. The sentence slid into my pocket like a polished stone. The child with the paper plane aimed one last launch at the carpet sky. The napkin skimmed a dignified arc and came to rest against his shoe, which he took as proof that persistence is a usable law. I nodded to his mother, who nodded back, neighbors, however briefly, on the same street of time. We funneled into the jet bridge, a ribbed tunnel that always feels like stepping into a throat that might sing or cough. The air carried the smell of rubber, rain, and beginnings. The man with the hard stop took my aisle as arranged. I took his middle with an ease I would not have recognized in myself an hour ago. "Thanks," he whispered, not as a transaction but as if receiving permission to be human. The purple scarf moved ahead, and when the line paused, she looked back at me with an expression that is the international sign for, "We'll be okay." At the door, a flight attendant greeted us with a smile that had survived 1,000 boardings. I returned it with the gratitude reserved for people who keep showing up to shepherd strangers through tubes in the sky. We buckled our intentions to our seats and listened to the cabin's choreography. Bins thunking shut, seatbelts clicking, announcements making promises no one intends to break. The plane pushed back, pivoted, paused in a line of other aluminum prayers. We began our roll, not a sprint but a persuasion. Speed courting lift the way a violin warms a note before it becomes music. There is always a second when the ground lets go, a precise relinquishment that feels like a handshake with gravity's cousin. The city fell away into a jewelry box lid. Lights arranged like someone tender had been patiently sorting. Clouds welcomed us with stitched seams. I remembered to breathe as if breath were a right and not a strategy. At altitude, noise thins. You can hear the small machinery inside your motives. I opened my notes and retired a few of my favorite verbs. In their place, I wrote for that could carry more of me without breaking. Listen, notice, bless, release. They looked unimpressive on the screen and indispensable in my bones. I didn't vow to become a different person by morning. I penciled in practice. Give 10 extra minutes to the next conversation. Ask one more question before offering a solution. Say, "I don't know," when I don't. Build buffers that love people more than plans. Sainthood did not arrive. Sanity did. My window seat neighbor wore a jacket with a patch that meant more than decoration. He worked with veterans navigating mazes made of paper and time. "Waiting is half my job," he said matter-of-factly. "And teaching people they're not wrong for being tired is the other half." He shared a breathing ritual he learned from a Marine. "Name 5 things you can see, 4 you can feel, 3 you can hear, 2 you can smell, 1 you can hope for. Hope's the heavy lift," he added with a smile. "But once you pick it up, everything else gets lighter." We practiced in silence for a minute. I saw the curve of wing, the soft pulse of a cabin light, the reflection of a stranger's book, the ridges in a plastic cup, the shadow of my own hand. I felt the seat under my legs, the belt across my lap, the air on my wrists, the groundlessness that somehow held. I heard the hush of engines, a cough 2 rows back, the whisper of a page turning. I smelled recycled air and coffee that had survived turbulence. I hoped for a landing that would change more than my location. The plane hiccuped and the aisle performed a tiny dance. A few gasps rose and dissolved. The captain's calm reached us before his words did. I used to treat every bump like evidence that the sky had turned against me. Tonight I remembered that air moves and we are permitted to move with it. I tightened my belt not as a panic but as a courtesy to the physics doing their honest work. Across the row, the hard-stop man unclenched his jaw and let a breath out that had been holding him hostage. "We're okay," he said to no one, which is to say, to himself. I smiled, and the smile did what smiles do best. It steadied the room by a millimeter. Halfway through the flight, the woman stood to stretch, the purple scarf a small banner against the soft cabin dawn. She caught my eye, pressed her palm to her heart, and that gesture bridged the rows like a quiet liturgy. I mirrored it back, 2 strangers agreeing that the world had not been unkind tonight, just slower than our plans had demanded. When she sat, she reached into the folder and slid a letter deeper as if tucking someone in. I found myself whispering a name I did not know to a God who did. There are prayers that sound like poetry and prayers that sound like housekeeping. Both are necessary. Tonight I was happy with sweeping. I drafted the message I would send on landing to the person waiting for me. I'm learning to make room even when I don't choose the room. Thank you for carrying more than your share without making a show of it. This month I'll add buffers. Ask, what am I missing? Before I speak, and let plans be servants, not kings. I removed the flourish that promised perfection and kept the specifics that might actually happen. Perfection exhausts. Practice restores. I saved the note and looked out into a darkness that wasn't empty, just full of distance. I thought of the janitor's prophecy about the storm breaking south and smiled at the accuracy disguised as small talk. People are weather stations. Some have learned to forecast hope. The chime sounded and the nose tipped toward a city that would not know it was receiving a different version of me. We performed the rituals of return, seatbacks, tray tables, expectations. I often treat descent like defeat, as if coming down means failing at the art of up. Tonight it felt like faithfulness, the courage to re-enter gravity with grace. Street grids rose to meet us, math lit by electricity and paychecks and people making soup. I asked for the difference inside me to survive baggage claim, traffic, and Tuesday. Wheels kissed runway and the cabin applauded in row 31, that holy chorus of people who still believe in thanking machines for partnering with humans. Reverse thrust sang its metallic psalm. We taxied the distance between expectation and arrival. Parked at the gate, the seatbelt chorus clicked open and the aisle enacted the ancient ritual of impatience rediscovered. The long walk to baggage felt like commencement without caps. Along the corridor I caught my reflection, not hunting for a spotlight, just participating in light. I moved at a human tempo and discovered it had been available all night. The carousel woke with a groan that meant employment. Bags appeared like stubborn miracles. The child with the paper plane narrated his flights to his mother as if they were national news. She listened like they were. The man with the hard stop pressed a palm briefly to my shoulder and kept moving, a benediction written in passing. By door C, the purple scarf waited with the folder tucked not like armor but like a photo album. She stood with the dignity of someone who has learned not to bargain with suffering. I understood the difference between being fine and being held. Only one of them could describe me tonight. Thank you for the coffee, I said, and for the letters I didn't read but still received. She smiled as if I had returned a borrowed book on time. Thank you for waiting with me, she said, as if companionship were a currency recognized in every country. What was your brother's name? I asked. She told me, and the name sat in my chest like a candle I promised not to blow out. We shook hands, an old-fashioned seal on a very modern sacrament. She walked toward arrivals. I walked toward a sign that said ground transportation and meant go live what you learned. At the exit I turned and glanced down the long corridor toward gate 17. It had resumed its natural camouflage. Just a number, just chairs, just a screen. The holiness was not gone. It had been absorbed. That's how most altars work. They return to looking ordinary and trust you to remember. I felt the strange ache that comes after a good class ends. Longing to stay in the room and also eager to try the lesson outside. I took one last breath as a student, then stepped into the hallway as a practitioner. My driver asked how the delay was, the way weather asks about itself. Long, I said, and kind. He chuckled. That's a first. The city slid by in wet geometry. I told him about the janitor's forecast, the barista's fourth day, the paper plane's low miracle, a stranger's purple scarf, spoons that stir other lives, an aisle seat traded like bread, and a God who doesn't clock in late even when we do. He told me his mother kept a suitcase packed near the door for blessings, because some gifts arrive wearing travel clothes. We rode in companionable silence after that, each of us carrying a story the other might never see but could still believe. At my door, I hesitated, the way you do before stepping into any room you care about. My phone buzzed. The coworker I'd rushed wrote back again. Sleep. We'll reset in the morning. It's a small thing when someone chooses we over you. It's a revolution when you build a life that makes that choice easy. I knocked, entered, and let the day set itself down inside me. No speeches, no performance, just the quiet hospitality of being welcomed by someone who keeps making room. Morning performed its old magic of looking new. Coffee steamed like a forgiving cloud. I sent the message I drafted. Thank you for your patience last night. I'm learning to leave room. Calendar open, I block time named margin, which looks silly until you remember that silliness is often what wisdom looks like before it becomes culture. I added a repeating reminder. Ask, what am I missing? Before speaking. It felt modest and subversive at once, like planting a small tree that will one day change the shape of shade. At breakfast, I stirred slowly and thought of the tiny spoons, each one a witness to 100 ordinary mercies. Cream added, sugar negotiated, hands warmed over meetings that changed exactly one heart at a time. I prayed in a way that felt like sharing heat. For the barista's day off to be restful in the way rest heals. For the janitor's knees. For the hardstop man's meeting to meet him with more kindness than he expects. For a child to keep folding failure into flight. The spoon clinked against the cup in a rhythm that sounded suspiciously like gratitude. I realized I had started counting miracles in teaspoons instead of headlines, and that the measure suited me better. When people asked about the delay, I didn't perform outrage to buy their attention. I called it what it became: practice. Practice at descending without fear, at waiting without armor, at trusting without bargaining. Practice at exchanging the verb hurry for the verb love without losing momentum, only friction. Practice is unglamorous theology. It is the way truth becomes muscle. Gate 17 had been a gym with pews. I signed up for the membership without noticing, and I left sore in the places I needed strength. If you're listening from a place that refuses to move, a gate, a voicemail, a hospital chair, a Tuesday, receive this blessing, not as instructions but as weather moving kindly over you. May your anger cool into accuracy instead of ash. May your fear learn your name and stop shouting. May your plans bend without breaking like knees that know prayer. May you meet neighbors in rooms you once called empty and find yourselves exchanging warmth like currency. May gratitude arrive before answers and stay after them. May you become the kind of traveler who can move at any speed, because presence, not control, is what carries you. They'll call your group soon, or they won't, and a different door will open at a different gate with your name on a paper you didn't write. Either way, you are not alone in this concourse. The runway is longer than you think, and mercy is better at math than you are. Be still, breathe, trust, then walk, at a human pace, toward whatever love has arranged next, carrying the small spoons of blessing you found along the way. This is Layover Light. If you enjoyed watching this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to support the channel. See you in the next video.